Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Julie Foucht. Julie is here to talk about how she found her independence, healed from divorce, attracted her current husband, and completely upgraded her life to meet the standards of her highest self. Julie is a believer in trusting your feminine wisdom and is a leader in the industry, all while being an amazing mother to 4 children. I appreciate Julie visiting us here with the Her Version community to share her journey with us. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yes, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit of time and sharing your past, your journey, and all the things that you have gone through to get you to where you are right now. How is your Tuesday treating you?
So far, so good. There is construction happening in my kitchen. So I am hiding from all of that in the farthest room I can get into from them.
Well, we're just glad you're not in a closet.
I thought about closet. You think all the clothing would give nice soundproofing and all of that, but no, I'm not. I'm back here in this back bedroom.
I love it.
Hiding away from the construction noise, which I can't complain because I did say in January I was going to manifest a new kitchen. And they came 2 months early to start on my kitchen. And it's so pretty so far. So
wow.
I'm really excited. Really
excited.
excited.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I will tell you, since this is a podcast about stories,
yes,
that this is my first complete kitchen in my adult life. So I was previously married to a contractor. We've been divorced over 20 years, and my kids say that he finally has kitchen cabinets and doors on the kitchen cabinets. And it's been a long time coming. So I'm really excited about this.
Yes.
And I'm really excited in the way that I manifested it, that I claimed it, and then found a way to make it happen.
Yes. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Well, all of this talk of manifesting, I'm excited just to kind of jump in to your backstory a little bit and then, kind of dive into who you are and where you are now in your life. But can we start with kind of just a little bit about your past, a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So I was raised in a family where my dad actually said this to me as an adult. He raised his boys to get along in the world, and he raised his girls to get taken care of, which meant that underlying all that you can do whatever you want was this message that really I couldn't. And I married my high school sweetheart who still hasn't grown up, and it became a very abusive relationship.
Oh.
And so when I finally pulled myself out of that after 20 years in that relationship, where I didn't leave because I didn't think that I could take care of my kids. I didn't think I could make enough money to be able to take care of my 4 kids. So when I finally left, I was completely broken and had to learn I mean, it was amazing to me, Sabrina, that, hey, I could go make enough money to make rent on my own, right? And I had worked for his company. And so not only did I leave the marriage, I left my income. I left the house. He had built the house. I didn't want it. I left everything.
Wow.
And so I began to learn, oh, I can take care of myself. And this mission started to come forward of, I don't want another woman to be in this position, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I had thought that I could make enough money, I would have left 10 years earlier.
Okay.
And so I thought, I need to do something. I had no idea what coaching was. It was so new that nobody knew what life coaching was or business coaching. And I thought, I just need to find a way to help other women discover that they can take care of themselves and to make money. And I started taking personal development classes. I discovered the Coaches Training Institute. I went to my first training and I went, whoa, this is where I want to be for my life.
Wow.
This is what I want to do. And I jumped in. But back then, when I jumped in, I really built my business from a very masculine viewpoint. You know, it was really about working hard, working long hours, really striving, really pushing, following all the formulas, and not having the success that was promised with the formulas. Now, I was on the verge of my first six-figure year. I was working my butt off, 6 days a week, really pushing. And I had a car accident and I couldn't do those hours anymore. I would get up, do a call with a client, then go back to laying on ice, right? Because my back was so messed up.
Wow.
And in those spaces between, there started to be this whisper, and it was this voice telling me there's a better way. There's a better way to do business for women. There's a better way to live. And the more that I listened, the more of those pieces I was given. And it really is about, being in tune with your divine feminine, being in the rhythm of your body and your cycle, being aligned with source and creating a business from that space. And that's what allowed me to actually go way beyond six figures and to create a business that provides 4 vacations a year and allows me to manifest a new kitchen during these crazy times and all of that. But it was really this process of having to learn, oh, I am not what my dad said I was. I am not what my ex-husband said I was. Because, he managed to control me by reinforcing that you just don't have value.
Yeah.
Thing. When I was getting ready to leave him, I went to an employment agency and I was told, oh, you're not worth more than $10 an hour. Like, those were the words that were said to me. And I was crushed.
Yeah.
Because I had 4 kids. How do you raise 4 kids on $10 an hour?
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
So, I had to do a lot of work. And in order to have the relationship I have now, the business I have now, it was work on me. Like, I walked out of that marriage knowing that I couldn't get involved with somebody else because I'd just attract the same person. Because I was the same person.
How did you know that, though? Most people don't figure that out. How did you know that?
How did I know that? I don't know. I must have been really smart.
Oh, yes.
I think that I had started to do some work. And at the time, I was working with a woman who's a really powerful psychic and a really powerful Reiki master. And I was doing sessions with her, and I think it came up one day in one of my meditations. And I was with my highest self, and my highest self said, you need to have if you want a different relationship, you need to be different.
Yeah.
And I knew from, I had studied psychology. I had studied read Robert Johnson and Carl Jung and all those psychologists. So I just knew that who I wasn't the person who could have the relationship that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
And that it took a lot of work. I went to a number of personal development courses. I worked with a shaman for a while, and even after I met my current husband and we were married, I continue to find teachers and healers to pull me forward into being who I came to the planet to be. And it's not always easy. Even now, like years later doing this work, sometimes I'll fall back or someone will take me out. Someone I respect will say something. And then I'm like, oh no. You ever have those moments like, oh no, I am a false prophet.
Yeah.
And I have to go back to my practices. I have to go back to, okay, let me go into meditation. Let me connect up with source, with the record keepers. Let me go stand. This is a big one for me. Let me go stand on the earth and just feel the support of Mama Earth.
Wow.
And that will bring me back to, oh, this is who I am. I've been on this earth a long time. And I do have a message and I do have wisdom to share.
Yeah.
And when I open, like it's not my wisdom, when I am open to source, I can be a channel for source wisdom, which is such a relief that I don't have to know it all. Yeah. I just have to know how to drop in and open.
Absolutely. How have your kids benefited from this whole transformation?
Yeah, that's a great story because I started this work when my kids were a little bit older. And so I see it most in my two youngest kids. The two oldest, it's interesting how kids respond, and all children, no matter how many of them you raise together, they all are different and grow up different. But I think it was when I heard my 16-year-old at the time, she's no longer 16, but she started parroting things. Now, I wouldn't tell her, but there was one day I was trying to find a firefighter. I was taking a picture for a photo shoot I was doing for a PR project. I used to work in PR. And we kept seeing these firemen who were either running in the opposite direction or not in uniform. And she just looked at me and she said, Mom, please, could you be specific in your intention so that we can manifest this and get it over with? And I was like, oh, she does listen.
Oh my gosh.
And so she has listened and taken it on. One of my other kids, my second son, I think he'll someday do work like this. I think he's meant to do this work and he thinks he's meant to do it. He just hasn't done it yet. And then I have one who's like 100%. If it's not science, I'm not going to talk about it, right? And I'm just like, fine, we won't talk about it. And my oldest daughter, who's a lawyer, so lawyers think they're trained to think a certain way.
Yeah.
She just kind of rolls her eyes at me. And I'm like, and that's like what the world does to you when you actually step into who you're supposed to be. And it doesn't have to be, I'm like totally woo-woo, even if it's not totally woo-woo, but you step into who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
People will roll their eyes at you.
Yeah.
And even those closest to you. Now they love me and they support me, but I talk about past lives and my oldest just can't even stay in the room.
That's great.
Because that's not legally admissible, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
And I think that's one of those places where you have to decide it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, what anybody else says about you, what anybody else, their opinions. You really have to be in, you have to be in integrity with who you are and your message. And as that starts to come up, it can be really difficult. I mean, I can remember when I first started my coaching practice, I talked about funnels, talked about, your free gift. I talked about your website. And then I would sneak the woo-woo into coaching sessions, right? I'd say, oh, we need to do some inner child work. And my clients are like, wait, we're designing a marketing funnel here. What the?
That's great. I love it.
When I came out of the closet, I sent an email, and my husband and I were at our mountain house, and we're on the opposite ends of the table, which we never used for eating. We just had our computer stuff everywhere. And I had written an email to my list that said, sometimes I'll pull out a tarot card during the middle of a coaching session, like just kind of to guide the conversation as a way to tap into intuition. And I was crying, and he was like, are you sure you want to send that? And I said, I just don't think I have a choice anymore, right? And the tears were coming down, and I sent it, and I thought, I just crashed my business. No one will ever want to work with me again.
Okay.
I got the greatest response. I actually got clients from that email.
Wow.
Because they were like, that's what I've been looking for. I want someone who can do both the business and the spiritual with me and combine that together.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And that really taught me this lesson of, if I'm in my truth, then there are people out there looking for that truth.
Yeah.
And if I'm hiding it, they can't find it. They can't find me.
Yeah. Definitely. In your journey up to this point, what do you think's been your biggest challenge that you've gone through? And let us know what you learned from the challenge.
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think that what it comes down to is really, I'm going to tell you about a recent challenge. Okay. Like in the last 5 years. Okay. Because I've been doing this since, the dinosaurs roamed the planet. So it's been a while. But I will put my trust in people. I'm very trusting. And so sometimes I will put my trust in people where really I need to be more aware of what's going on. So, I'll overlook things. Oh, that person did that, but I'm going to overlook it because I want to be in a relationship with them. And I did have a friend that I was pretty close to, and I supported her through so much through COVID. And she took me out at the end. And then I realized she had been poaching clients, and she had been doing some things that just took my confidence down. She would say little things that took my confidence down. And so that was a really big challenge for me because I was heartbroken when I realized what was happening. So I had to go back and heal that. Wow. Right. And I had to go in and I had to clear all the energy, and I had to heal that. And I needed to remind my little girl that my ability to trust people was not a negative, right? Because my first thought was, I'll never trust anybody again. Which is like absolutely ridiculous. I know that's not true. I know that that's a superpower of mine.
Yes.
Is to build community and to trust people. And so I really had to look at and do some work with that little girl and tell her she wasn't wrong, that there was nothing wrong with her, and the things that were said about me were not true. So I had to go reassure that little girl first that lives inside of me.
Yeah.
And then I just took some time to reground myself in the earth, to reground myself in my wisdom and what I know to be true about myself.
Absolutely.
I also used a healer who does energy work, and she came in and cleared some of it away. And because sometimes, you can do it for yourself, and sometimes you need somebody else.
Yeah.
And I truly believe in getting other people in there. So if it was, there became this energy block around it. So I brought an energy worker in to help me clear the energy.
Smart.
Right now, the workers are in my kitchen. I'm not down there doing that work. Now, do I know how? I was raised by a contractor. I was married to a contractor. I probably could. I'm not going to do as good a job.
Mm.
And who wants to put cabinets up? I just want them to be pretty, right? I just want to show up and have them set.
Yes.
And I think you have to look at your life that way too, when you're building your life, when you're building your business. I can do my own bookkeeping in my business. I did the books for my ex-husband's business. I helped an ex-boss get it set up. My current husband, I showed him how to do his book. I can do it. I know what a P&L and a profit and loss and all of that is. Do I want to? Absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you look at your business like, you're building a house, which parts of it are really yours to do?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that applies to any part of your life.
Yeah.
I really don't like to cook. I really shouldn't. I need to bring food in. Like, we've got all those meal delivery places now. Or as my youngest said, when I divorced her dad, she said, "You better marry somebody who can cook because we're going to starve to death here."
Funny.
Yeah. So where was I going with that? I don't know. You wound me up.
Well,
I think it's all about, bringing in people that are the right people to support you in what you're building, support you in clearing, support you in visioning. And it doesn't always have to be people you pay.
Yeah.
You can put together a mastermind group to help you with that stuff, but bring in the people like you're building a house.
Yeah, definitely. So how long have you been in self-development?
I certified in 2006. So, my training was a couple years before that. And then before I went through coaches training, the Coaches Training Institute, I was recruited to be part of a company that did goal achievement through self-development. And I worked with them for a couple of years before I went and did my own deeper training. Did some training with them, but, it was light. It was nothing like getting certified, which was deep, heavy duty training. And
what do you say to people who don't necessarily understand or appreciate personal development?
I let them be. It's like my son is totally 100%. If it's not science-based, that's okay. If that serves him, then that serves him. And I mean, he doesn't realize he gets it just from being around me.
Yeah.
But people who don't believe it, I'm not going to argue with them. That's fine.
Yeah.
There are so many people out there who are looking for what we offer.
Yeah.
And I believe that before we're born, we make a deal. This is the job I'm going to do when I get down there. This is the mission I'm going to support. Here's the people I'm going to serve. And then we all come down to earth. We get born. We have our experiences. We learned through our wounding process the skills we need to do that job, to serve our people.
Wow.
So if our people are out there, I don't have to convince somebody that what I do is legitimate. I just have to put out enough breadcrumbs that the people who I'm here to serve can find me.
So who gave us our assignment?
That I don't know. I look at it, the way I look at it is like there's a big job board in the spirit realm, and we go in and go, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to need this at a certain point in time. I'll take that one.
Wow.
And then we have all, and if you read, what's the guy's name? Gary Zukav wrote The Seed of the Soul.
Okay.
He talks about this a lot. It's a very old book.
Okay.
But then there are people around us who come down and go, okay, I'm going to support you in this. As human beings, we are wounded as children, and our response to those wounds
Yeah.
are what gives us the unique skills to serve our tribe, our people.
Wow.
And so there are other people who will make a soul agreement that they will wound us. So when I look at
What?
right, so I look at the situation with my ex-husband, right? Here's somebody who, if I look at it just from this physical realm, I
Okay.
can really hate him. Like, he was really awful.
Okay.
And I raised my kids in a situation that I regret because I stayed in the situation. And I could blame him and I could be angry and resentful.
Okay.
And when I look at it from this viewpoint of our agreement was he was going to wound me. And what happened in that wounding is I learned to be strong. I learned to stand up for myself. I learned that I could create whatever I wanted. And those were powerful lessons. And as a soul, for him to do the wounding that he did to me,
Okay.
I just feel bad for him, right? I feel bad for the soul of him, not him as a person, right? Here in the physical realm, but his soul did horrible things.
Yeah.
And so I can have a lot of empathy for that. And I can have
Wow.
gratitude to his soul that it took on that he was going to do these things to me.
Wow. So they say abuse goes generation to generation. Most people don't just like wake up one day and are abusive. So is this a kind of like the job stayed in the family?
It's so interesting. I didn't see that from his parents at all.
What?
Yeah,
Not even covertly?
his mother's very controlling. I call her the Borg, from the
Okay.
old Star Trek thing where
Yeah.
everyone has to do what the Borg says.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the abuse. I believe that there may be some underlying psychological.
Okay.
I think, and there's never been a diagnosis. I think he's a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I think that's what created the situation. My youngest and I have some disagreements about that.
Okay.
She thinks he's on the spectrum, and that's why.
Okay.
But none of
can
it's
see
ever
that.
been diagnosed. We're not doctors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally. I totally get that. Wow, that is so interesting. And I so appreciate that perspective. And yeah, it makes it a little bit easier to have empathy for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I work hard to stay there. Especially when I have to be around him. I work hard to stay in that state.
Yeah.
And you can do that with any of your abusers from your life, is you can look at it that way.
Yeah.
I find it healthier. I don't have to carry around a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
Like, it makes my life lighter to not have to carry that resentment around.
Yeah. What would you say, kind of looking back throughout your journey and the challenges? We all go through a multitude of challenges throughout our life, some a little more heavier than others. But is there any, like a step by step that you've kind of found yourself doing kind of continuously throughout those in order to kind of pull yourself from like the darkness of the challenge and then into a more positive light? Is there any nuggets of
Yeah.
information that you could give us?
Yeah. And the way that I look at that is it's like a funnel. So the
Okay.
first time around, it's like, oh, this is really dark. This is heavy. This is painful. Oh, this hurts. And you figure out a solution. And then it comes up again and you're like, okay, I think I know. I think I can figure this out. Okay, yes. And so every time you do it, it gets narrower and narrower in shorter time.
Yes.
So for me,
If you
there's a
learn.
couple of steps. Yeah, because you learn and it becomes automatic.
Okay.
So the first thing is to recognize, what are the thoughts going in through my head? Like, there is pain being caused. Okay, if I am in pain, then one of my values is being stomped on.
Okay.
And that's creating pain. Or there's two things. Either a value is being stomped on, or I want somebody to be different than who they are. Right?
Yeah,
The work of Byron Katie
expectations,
is pain comes from wanting to people to be someone they're not. So if I have to recognize where I'm at. Is it my values are getting stepped on? Is that I want somebody to be different than who they are? And can I, first of all, physically remove myself from the situation? Like finally leaving the marriage. So can I remove myself from the situation? And then I go and I connect in with source, God, the universe. I do the work of connecting in. For me, I then allow source energy to flow through me, clearing away, removing and releasing any energy that doesn't serve my highest and best good. And as that energy flows through me, sometimes people will come up or things will come up. And I allow it just to wash over me. Connecting again with Mama Earth, which is big for me, to connect with Mama Earth. And just sometimes I have to then go give my little girl, we talked about this, the little inner child that we all have.
Yeah.
She needs some extra love. She needs to know this didn't happen because of her.
Yes.
And that will clear me to know what the next steps are. All of those things clear so I know what the next right step is, so that I can make a choice that's in my highest and best good. Because often we are wounded and we lash out.
Yeah.
And often we're lashing out from a hurt little inner child. So what happens is I get in a fight with my husband. His 5-year-old is yelling at my 4-year-old. There's no adults present in the room at all.
Yeah.
And we all end up hurt and angry, right?
Yeah.
If I'm able to take my 4-year-old and protect her and say, wow, he's in his little boy, I'm going to remove myself from this situation.
Okay.
Then we don't have to have a big blow up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? And I can protect my feelings and I can protect myself and I can go and do what I need to do to create results I want, including a better relationship. And I say that as if I do it perfectly every time, which I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that.
But that's the practice. And then it's a choice. Sometimes this is, of course, real life. So the biggest place things happen are blow-ups with my husband, which don't happen that often, but every now and then.
Yeah.
And I'll just make a choice. And once I've gone through that process, I'll say, okay, what do I want? Yeah. Do I want to be mad for the next 3 days? Or do I want to have a good evening? And it's so hard because, as humans, we want to go, no, he has to make amends. He has to make this better. He caused this problem. But the reality is we can make it better for ourselves. I'm just not going to hold on to it. I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
And it's a choice and you have to hold to it. And your little girl that wants revenge, you have to take care of that part of yourself so that you can make that choice.
How long has you and your husband been together?
We have been together 15, 16, 17 years now.
Nice.
So the first marriage, this is really dating me. First marriage was 20 years.
Okay.
Then it was 5 years until I met my current husband. And we've been together 17 years.
Was there any learning curve as far as the way that because obviously when you do the work, it's difficult if individuals haven't also done the work. Did you have to teach him anything or did he come in already? having educated
No,
himself a little?
I think he had done a lot of work himself,
Okay, great.
but he didn't do it in the same language that I use,
Oh, wow. Okay.
right? So, um, I use the real woo woo. I tap into source. I like he'll tell me he meditates when he swims, right? And he'll go swim 2 miles, and so or however long he swims. I don't know. It's a pool thing. So I think he did a lot of the work to get to this point, and he really, when he divorced his first wife, he took a long time to between when he decided and when they actually separated, because he was doing his own inner work and
Got it.
becoming who he needed to be.
Very
And I'm sure that I'm sure that some of my stuff has worn off on him because we've been together for so long.
Yeah, definitely. That would be that just happens naturally.
Just happens. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the number one lesson you've learned from life?
Source is my source.
Tell me more. What does that mean?
So, source, which is God, the universe, the energy of all that is, the energy that has created us and of which we are part and of which everything is made, wants us to have a juicy, vibrant, amazing life. And source creates the resources for that. So, what this means is my business does not create my income. Source chooses to send me income through my business. My clients are not the source of my income.
Okay.
Source chooses to send me resources through my clients.
Wow.
Source is the source. When I come back to that, source is the source, then I can relax. When I relax, then I can get messages about what's the next right step versus going into my head and being like, oh my God, I need to make money this month. How am I going to do it? I need to do this. I need to do that. And getting in that Tasmanian devil spin.
Yeah.
Instead, I go, okay, source is my source. Okay, source. I'm going to open. Tell me what the next right step is.
Wow.
Sometimes the answer I get is go to the beach.
Okay.
Because we live 15 minutes from the beach here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes the answer is, hey, you need to put together a big event, right? And so I follow those ways, trusting that I don't have to figure this out, because source is my source. What I have to do is tap into source and stay as connected to source as I can. And in that, I can create what I'm meant to have in this world.
Beautiful.
And
Absolutely.
it's so helpful because, I'll get into the money spin, right? Like I'm like all these money rules that I was given as a child. Like
Yep.
I'm not allowed to make more money than my brothers.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell my parents, but I do. I'm not, I'm not allowed to outshine the golden child.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get caught into a money thing where I'm like, there's not going to be enough. The other day I was writing a check for the contractor. Honest to God, the thought went through my head, well, they're draining my bank account, right? Like they're taking my money. And I thought, that's a weird thought. It doesn't matter. Source is my source. Source is providing this.
Wow.
Source provided the money for this. And so that is a different energetic than they're draining my bank account versus source is making this happen. And when you open in that way, when you allow source, then it allows more good things to come, including money and clients and love and joy and experiences. And all of that comes from being open.
Yeah.
Versus shutting down and trying to figure it out in your head.
Yeah. Definitely. What's your thought process on, you were just kind of covering, so it's a perfect segue to limiting beliefs?
Well, I think that limiting beliefs were created originally, they're created to keep us safe, right?
Yeah.
If you have this is not my experience, but let's say you have a father that comes home every day drunk and says, what do you know? You're just a stupid kid.
Mhm.
In order to survive in that household, you are going to have to adopt the belief that I'm a stupid kid and I should keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Which is great until you get out in the real world. And let's say you get your first job and you get a job that you know you can do because you're just a stupid kid. So it's not really one you'll love, but you know, you can, and you see ways that it could be made better, but you better not speak up, right? It like limits your life.
Yeah.
And if you're in business for yourself, it totally limits you. So
Wow.
we start with knowing that a limiting belief had a purpose. Now, in the case of someone who's given a belief that they are stupid, I can often tell who those people are right up front because they're the people with 3 degrees. They're the people who've taken every course. They're the people who are continuing to take more courses before they start doing what they want to do because they're proving they're not stupid.
Yeah.
So there's some value in it, in that it motivates us to take certain actions.
Yeah.
At a certain point, we have to recognize, hey, that's a belief. And I say to listen to your body, right? Here's how you know it's a limiting belief. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel expansive? Do you say it and like money doesn't grow on trees? How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel like, or does it make you feel closed down?
Oh,
And
yeah, okay.
it's subtle in your body. So you've got to start learning. Oh, that doesn't serve me. It made me shut down. It made me close off. When I close off, I can't get what I want.
Yeah.
When I open, I can. And so then we take the limiting belief and we go, okay, here's the limiting belief. What do I want that belief to be? And we start to put in practice things that will reinforce the new belief. Like, I'll give you an example of that. Nothing good ever happens to me. That's a big belief. Nothing good's going to happen anyway,
Okay.
right? So then every day we sit down and we write down 3 things good that happened to us that day. So we're reinforcing that good things happen to me,
Yes.
right? So there are simple practices we can do to change the neural pathways in our brain and let go of the ones that are limited.
Absolutely. I love that you're giving us an example of how to, I don't want to say reverse it, but kind of, what would be a word for that? Replace it, maybe?
Yeah, we used to live on this street, and then a mudslide came and took the street away. And there's a point to this. And within about 4 years, you
Okay.
couldn't see that there was a road there anymore. Like
Wow.
we would walk down there, and the first year it was like, oh, these big cracks. And then the plants started growing, and then the plants kind of overtook everything. This is Washington State, so it happens fast there. Things grow there.
Yeah.
And I look at it that way, like you've got this neural pathway that says you're a stupid kid. And when you recognize that's there, you heal the child and you begin to build a new pathway, which is, let's say you're a stupid kid. Maybe it's, I am a channel for source wisdom, would be something you could replace it with. And when you begin to replace that, the more you believe the new one, the stronger that one becomes. And the old belief gets overgrown and goes back into nature, right? And so I love taking those practices and saying, okay, what am I going to do? I have this great money practice. I gave a money talk yesterday, so I'm all into like thinking about money right now. I pick up change off the ground.
Okay.
And when I pick up change off the ground, I stop and I really focus on the gratitude for what I have.
Wow.
And so I'll pick up a penny and I'll say, great, I am grateful for the abundance I have and the abundance I have coming in ever increasing quantities on a continuous basis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? And as I focus on that, what happens? I'm opening up. It feels good. And that allows more good things to come to me.
Absolutely.
So it's constantly building. What is the belief I want to believe? Oh, I believe that I can manifest what I want. All right. What did I manifest today? And I'm going to track that.
Yes. Very cool. I pick up pennies from the ground too.
I used to roll like over 100 pennies a year.
Uh-huh.
Since I have grandchildren, somehow my little penny bowl somehow never fills.
Oh, that's so funny. My parents had a coin glass vase thing on the top of their dresser. And I remember as a child, they had dollar bills and stuff and also quarters and stuff. But I've never told my mom this, but I would take, quarters or whatever. You'd probably for the gumball machine. I don't even remember. But I remember there was points where I would suddenly feel guilty for taking. And so little chore money, or we'd have garage sales and I'd make little money and I'd put money back in there.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I would feel so bad. But it was interesting. You made me think of that. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know a little bit more about what you do. We have your website right here, right above your face area. For those of you that are listening live, thank you so much for being here and supporting the Her Version community and Julie and her story. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help all the humans?
Absolutely. So I'm the founder of the Art of Feminine Business, and I help female entrepreneurs who are soul-led, so healers, coaches, teachers, a lot of people who are in the financial world for some reason, videographers, like just soul-led women, how to create a business from their divine feminine. So we are taught in business how to do it from the masculine. And that doesn't work for women. And we're just different. And so how do we build a 6-figure or 6+ or 7-figure business that really aligns with our divine feminine? And we start by going in. I talked a lot today with you about connecting with source, connecting with Mama Earth, connecting with the energy of your business. And we start from that place and we design outward from your connection to source and who you are meant to be on the planet. And then we invite your inner masculine to support the visions of your divine feminine.
Wow.
A lot of us jump on a hamster wheel and just do the masculine, right?
Yeah.
That just leads us to bullying ourselves and beating ourselves up. So we build it from this inner and then taking action that's aligned. And that creates much more ease, much more fulfillment. I work with a lot of people who are moms or grandmas, and they want to have time. I designed my business so that I take time off to spend with my grandkids during the week. I work 3.5 days a week so that I can have time with my grandkids.
That's awesome. I can totally relate to that because I feel like hearing you speak, never really related this before, but I definitely feel as if I work more masculine than feminine, for sure.
Yeah. And even if you can just take, and let me say that sometimes you will be more in your masculine. Like we're getting ready to do a launch, right? When we get a couple weeks from the launch date, I'll probably get way more masculine. I can do that really easily. I have to pull myself back into the feminine. And so it's like, even just if you can take and start your day by grounding and feeling the earth under you and allowing that source energy to flow through you. Just one thing. And maybe asking the question while you're doing this, hey, business, what do you want me to do today? The great Corey Michelle gave me that question years ago, and I love that question. What does my business want from me today?
Wow.
And then listening, because sometimes the answer is not at all what you think it's going to be.
I could
So,
see that. Yeah. Even just hearing you, I just videoed my a video for my landing page that I plan on
oh,
launching this
yeah.
week. And I just recorded I wrote out the script over the last day or two, and I just recorded it this morning. And now listening to you, I'm like, I wonder if I should re-record it now that I've spoken to you and come from a place, because just reflecting back, it is more of a masculine, aggressive, loving, like I'm a loving person, but it is more aggressive. So it would be interesting to read my scripts after grounding and
Yeah.
and seeing what the difference, if anything else comes up as far as
Right.
a change
Or
of
even
pace,
the energy, like
the
what's the
energy.
vibration that comes across?
It's interesting. I might do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
Let me
could
know
see
what
that.
happens.
Yeah, I could see how that would be interesting actually to launch both to the same landing page
Mhm.
and to see which one pulls
Yeah.
differently. I don't know if I'd want to do that, but I could see that. I can see how pulling even the right avatar for yourself would be important in how your vibrations or your energy is flowing through your sales pitch,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. You want to know how to learn about your avatar?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have this great trick. So
Okay.
we drop into meditation.
Okay.
I lead my clients to a garden that's their secret private garden,
Okay.
where only those who are there for their highest good can go. And then we ask a representative of their divine right tribe to come and speak to them and just see what pops up. Amazing things will pop up that you never, because mostly we do the avatar from what's the demographic,
Yeah.
what's their socioeconomic status,
Yeah.
what's their problem. You begin to listen to them at a spiritual level, and you begin to connect with them in a way that you never thought possible. And then when I do marketing, I will send out an invitation in that same realm. And here's where we work both the feminine and the masculine, the spiritual and the physical. So I will send that invitation out. I have my calendar open for 3 people. Send it out in the spirit realms.
Okay.
And then send the email that says I have my calendar open. So that there's a spiritual connection that happens first before they get the email. So when you're doing your video, for your website, first tap in and imagine you're connecting heart to heart with those that you are here to serve and who are here looking for you, and then see what happens.
Okay. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's super fun.
So how do people connect with you? I mean, obviously your website. Is your social media on there?
It should be. Man, if it's not, somebody in my team's not doing their job.
Okay.
Also, I do run a Facebook group called Feminine Business Magic, and we do a ton of fun business building stuff there. We brag on Wednesdays because bragging not only is good for your soul, it heals the "you're a stupid kid" wound if you can brag about yourself.
I love that. So I do that in the Facebook group, just a post.
Yeah.
But you do it over Zoom?
No, we do it as a post. So we post in the morning, share your brags, and then
Wednesdays.
people come in, brag. And if people don't brag, then I go in and say, hey, you have a brag, bring it, and it's great. And it's great for marketing. I mean, we have to learn to brag about ourselves in order to market.
That's the whole thing.
So that's
really
another
is. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Facebook group is a great place to connect with me, to get some of my stuff, some of my wisdom, and to really play with the rest of the community like you play in your community.
Definitely. That's awesome. I love this.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
I love it. What does success mean to you?
Success means that I have, oh, that's funny. The first thing that comes up is that I have the resources to do the things that I want to do and to play with the people that I want to play with. And that I feel like I've done it from a place of integrity with who I am and who I'm meant to be on the planet.
That's awesome. What would you say to a woman right now that's struggling with her authentic self?
To give herself a break. Like, we beat ourselves up so much,
Yeah.
and we are constantly looking for proof that we are not good enough. And wherever you are in your journey, in the process, in the work, is where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
So give yourself a break and be in the work and be in the process. It's continuously, like, life is not meant for us to arrive. Life is meant for us to be on the journey and to be continuously working towards that vision and that who we are meant to be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I took like a whole page of beautiful notes. I'm so excited.
Nice.
You're great.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you.
And
So are you.
I'm excited about looking into my script that I was planning on just launching and just being done with, but I might this might have happened for a reason. It might have been like, because I could have just put it up already, like edit it and put it up, but I didn't. Like, I got distracted with a few other phone calls, and
Yeah.
that's interesting, right?
Well, Source has a way of interrupting us when something's not quite aligned
Yeah.
and redirecting us. So you might have gotten phone calls because Source was like, wait, don't put it up until after you talk to Julie today.
Yes, yes. I'm actually thinking that now. That's awesome. Well, I so appreciate you hanging out and sharing some of your journey and some of the awesome information that you hold inside your brain. For those of you that are listening live, we so appreciate you being here and supporting us. Check out Julie's website, follow her on social media and her Facebook group. It sounds wonderful. Do you have any closing thoughts before we close up?
Let me just check in here. Money wants me to tell everyone that it is available for them, that they don't have to be afraid of it. They simply have to open to the blessings that money has for it. So money's really alive today in this conversation saying, talk about me, talk about me.
Yeah. I love that. That's going to help me out. So I appreciate you and I appreciate money checking in with you. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us here on Her Version. This community is expanding every single day and it's filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share, our struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me here or at herversion.life. Once again, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here, sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others.